Hey guys, good morning. Today I'm going to stuff pork chops with some rice and green beans. And I'm going to start by making a stock, pork stock. So here I have some neck bones from a pig, obviously. And I'm going to start by browning them in my pan real well. So I'm going to brown each side of the bone for 3 or 4 minutes, get it nice and brown. And I'll catch you guys up when I'm done with that. So as you can see, I browned the bones real well. And now I'm going to deglaze the pan with just a little bit of water and return it back to the stock pot. And I'm going to put about twice as much volume, halfway fill the pot with cold water. So the bones have been cooking for about 2 hours now. I have my aromatics and mirepoix ready. I'm just going to add them to the stock. Onion, carrot, celery, leek, garlic, bay, thyme and parsley. And let that cook for another hour, 2 hours probably. So while the stock is cooking, I'm going to make a brine for the pork chops. I already have a pot of water overheat that I just put a bunch of salt in. And I'm going to add some sugar, just a little bit of sugar, not too much. This is probably about a 1/4 cup of salt. And then I got parsley from my garden, some sage and thyme from my garden as well. Throw all that in there. I got a bay leaf. And I got a few peppercorns. Just throw a few peppercorns there. I'm just going to bring that just to a slight simmer so the salt and sugar melt and a little bit of the flavor gets into the water from the herbs, and let that get nice and cold again so I can put the pork chops in it. So I'm going to start the stuffing for the pork chops now. I have here is finely diced onion and Granny Smith apple and some diced bacon. I'm going to go ahead and put the bacon in the pan and cook off some of the fat, and then add the apple and onion and brown them, and I'll catch you up. So I browned off the bacon. I got some of the bacon fat in the pan. So I got some of the brown bits on the bottom too. I'm going to go ahead and add my apple and onion mixture. And then I'm going to add a nice spoon of butter. So you can see I got the butter in there. I'm just going to let these onions and apples saute in this pan until they're nice and golden brown. So you can see I got some nice color on my apples and onions. Over here I got a little bit of nutmeg and cinnamon. I'm just going to grind a little bit with my microplane right into the apples, and just to give it a little bit of nice warmth, spice. So I added the apples and onions to the bacon mix. And here I chopped up some parsley, thyme, and sage from the garden. I have a little bit of plain breadcrumbs. I'm going to mix it all together, bind it with a little bit of breadcrumb, and that'll pretty much make my stuffing. So before I brine them, I'm gonna open them up for the stuffing. So you see that's what I did here with the paring knife. And you just stick it in there and slice it around halfway in between the meat. And you can stick your fingers in there and open it up down to the bone. As you see, this one I haven't done yet. Just to show you what we got. Nice big, fat, almost inch thick pork chops. It's like a porterhouse steak basically. Tenderloin. This would be like a strip steak on a beef or a cow. But I'm going to just open them up so that way the brine can get inside the meat more. And I'm just going to put them inside a freezer bag and pour the brine over it, which I got here, which is completely cold now. So I got the pork chops completely submerged in the brine, and I just threw it back in the pot so you don't have to worry about making a mess. You just throw it in your fridge for a couple hours overnight if you want, but a couple hours will be fine. And that'll just help keep your pork chop juicy and tender. It'll absorb all that sugar and salt and the flavors from the herbs. And it'll just help keep it juicy and tender while we cook it. And that's that for now. So been 2 hours since I added the vegetables. It's been a total of 5 hours the bones have been cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and strain the stock and put it to the side until I'm ready to start cooking dinner. So I got some green beans. I got some boiling water. I'm going to blanch my green beans in some boiling water. I have a bowl of ice water behind me, so I'm going to let these blanch for about 2 or 3 minutes until they're nice and tender, and then throw them in a bucket of ice water so it stops the cooking. So you can see I blanched them and then put them in ice water, or what was ice water, and that helps keep the nice green color. Over here I have some diced onion I'm going to sweat off before I start the rice. I got some chicken, or the pork stock rather, not chicken. Pork stock over here. I'm going to heat up, get it warm. Over here I have the pork chop. And I took it out instead of been sitting here and getting the excess water off and letting it come to room temperature. And I'm going to start soaking, or I'm going to wash the rice. I'm going to turn the oven on to 375. So we're going to start cooking. So I'm going to start my rice dish in this cast iron Dutch oven I have. So I think it makes really good rice. You can see the pan starting to smoke. So I got some diced bacon. I'm going to start the dish with some diced bacon. We're just going to brown that up for a little bit. And then we're going to add the onion. And just let it cook for like 2 minutes and then add the onion. Now that the bacon's cooked down a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and add the onion. We're going to cook that down probably like 5-6 minutes. Whoops. And while this onion's cooking, I'm going to stuff my pork chops. So you can see I browned the onions and bacon out real well. So there's a cup of basmati rice that I washed real well. Now I'm going to go ahead and toast the rice. I'm going to add a little bit of butter in just a second too. So I'm going to toast this rice real well for probably 3-4 minutes. Get some nice flavor out of it. Over here I got the pork chop. You see I got it stuffed pretty well. You see it's got a nice little lump of yumminess in there. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pat it off with a towel, dry it. I'm going to season it with salt and pepper, and a little bit of cinnamon and nutmeg. And I'm going to get my pan ripping hot, fill it with oil, and sear it off. I'll catch you up there. So I got the rice nice and toasted up. Looks pretty good. Got some nice color. So I got a cup of rice. So I'm going to add about 1 cup of stock and about half a cup or 3/4 cup of water. So in total I added about 1.5 cups of liquid to cook 1 cup of this basmati rice. I'm going to add some thyme and sage now to it. And I'm also going to add a bay leaf. And I'm just going to put a little bit of salt in it. I'm going to bring it to a slight simmer like this and turn it on low. Cover it and cook it for about 15 minutes. In the next clip, I had failed to mention that I had lightly floured the pork chop after seasoning it with salt and pepper. I got garlic, bacon, and green beans, so I can saute the green beans real quick. Over here I got some butter to season everything, and I got some onion and apple for when the pork chop's finished. I can make a quick sauce. Rice is cooking, stock's hot in the back. I'm going to heat this pan up, get the oil hot, and I'm going to sear this pork chop on all sides and then put it into a 375-degree oven for about 15 minutes, I say. I'll catch you guys up soon. We're almost ready to eat dinner. Just wanted to show you guys the nice crust I got on this chop. That's what you're looking for, a nice brown sear. Beautiful Maillard reaction. So I'm going to sear the other side, and then I'm going to sear around the outside a little bit, and I'll throw it in the oven. So I threw the pork chop in the oven. And while I did that, the rice finished up. I checked it for tenderness, it's nice and tender. So what I'm just going to do is just go ahead and, like usual, fish out all the bay and sage leaves. And we're just going to keep it back here on the stove covered, nice and warm. I'll probably whisk a little butter into it in a few minutes too, just give it a little more richness. So I just pulled the pork chop out of the oven. I'll show you what she looks like on the other side too. Nice and deep, crispy. I'm just going to set her to the side on the plate. Put a piece of tin foil in there. Keep her warm for now. Now we're going to work on the pan sauce. I got the chicken or the pork stock back here, as you see, simmering. Also, your handle to your pan is going to be extremely hot, so keep it covered with a towel and whatever you got. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour off some of this extra fat, and I'm going to add the onion and the apple to the pan. So I got the onions and the apples browned up pretty nicely now. I'm going to start adding some of this stock. Basically, and I'm going to add some sage too. Got some more sage. It's basically going to be an apple and sage flavored sauce. I'm going to finish it with some more of the ground nutmeg and cinnamon. I'm going to add some stock now. The stock's really reduced by now. Wow. Pretty thick. So that's about a cup of stock right there. A little more. So I'm just going to let this cook and simmer for another 5 minutes or 10 minutes from the tops. I'm going to start the green beans next. I'm going to start by browning off some bacon. So you can see almost all that stock is reduced. I'm going to wait till it reduces all the way, and I'm going to add more stock to it. See over here, I got the pork chop, and I'm going to just drain these juices that collected in there. Drain the juices that collect on the plate. So you don't want to waste any flavor. I just have the chop sitting back here underneath the oven exhaust so it stays nice and warm. Just be about 5 more minutes. The bacon's getting crispy over here. Just need another minute or two. And I'm just going to quickly throw some garlic in there, throw the green beans in there with a little bit of olive oil, season with salt and pepper, and call it a day. It's going to be a real simple, just bacon, garlic, and green bean dish. So you can see how much it is evaporated now. I'm going to go ahead and add some more stock. And when that reduces down to a sauce-like consistency, I'll strain it out and finish it with some salt and pepper and the spices I mentioned. So here I turn off the heat and threw the garlic and green beans in there and a little bit of olive oil. I'm just going to let this sit for the next few minutes while I wait for the sauce to finish, and we'll plate and eat. I'm going to finish the rice with just a little bit of fresh parsley and a little bit of fresh butter. I'm just going to mix that in there real quick. And that'll finish that. So the sauce has reduced enough for my liking. I'm going to go ahead and run it through the strainer. Here I got the beans and I got my plate staying warm. So I'm going to pull that out and plate off my meal. Just want to show you how deep my stuffing went in, just to let you know. It tastes great too. Don't be afraid to use plenty of fresh herbs.